Addiction doesn't have a look. It doesn't look a certain way. I spent almost 15 years in a really severe heroin addiction, and I don't look much different today than I did then. I really don't dress much different. In those days, I always maintained a job, housing, I had a place to live and a car. I wasn't homeless. I wasn't committing crimes, but I was addicted to heroin. The media does a real disservice to society's general understanding of addiction and substance use and what it looks like. It doesn't always look like back alleys, needles on the ground, and homelessness. The vast majority of people that use substances do so responsibly, safely. In fact, as much as 90% don't develop addictions, problematic use, or lose their jobs, relationships. Most people can be responsible with their substances. Some people, like myself, life goes out of control. Everything was nearly lost for me. But one message I want to bring, a message of hope, reducing stigma, and understanding people that use substances, is it doesn't have a look. If you'd walk past me during those years that I was in addiction, if you'd walk past me on the street, you would not have had that stereotypical thought, there goes a drug addict. That wouldn't have entered your mind walking past me. But it does for so many of us when we walk past people who are visibly homeless or visibly struggling. They have that outward appearance. That's a very small percentage of our population. And the vast majority of those that are in addictions and struggling on a day-to-day basis have jobs. 72% of people dying of fatal overdoses in the province of British Columbia, Canada, die in their homes. Private residences are where these overdoses take place. The vast majority of those that were employed were working in trades and transport. 4 out of 5 were men. Addiction doesn't look a certain way. In this climate of a toxic drug supply where fentanyl has replaced heroin and it is a highly toxic, highly potent opioid, we need to be ever vigilant, educating and helping people to understand that the drug supply is not what it once was. It has changed. It's no longer the way it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. Anyone who uses substances that come from the black market are at risk. I was at work using in the bathroom, as I always did every day that I worked in my addiction. And I had just come out from smoking some heroin, came into contact with a couple coworkers who were in a conversation. And all I remember from that moment was that they were talking about the junkie across the street, the power of language. In that moment, I knew that I needed to protect my struggle. I needed to protect my addiction from being found out by these individuals, because they wouldn't have seen me any different than that junkie across the street. It's such a pejorative, such a difficult word. It's such a heavy word. It's not a nice word. And maybe if we start to change the way we talk about addiction, to change the language we use when we talk about people that are struggling with it, those like myself who were in hiding all those years, who knew that I had to keep my struggle secret because it would socially discredit me in the eyes of my peers, friends, co-workers. I needed to keep that hidden. Keeping addictions hidden is a death sentence in today's climate. With the overdose crisis raging still 4 years in, we need to encourage people to come out of hiding, to be able to openly admit what they're struggling with, and that we don't discredit them for their struggle. I'm Daniel Snyder, and I hope that you will come along this journey with me, changing the face of addiction.